Republican leaders will descend on Cleveland in just over a week, and Donald Trump presumably will accept the party's nomination. But his running mate is still a mystery. Team Hillary has the luxury of waiting for Trump's pick before making a decision. But let's bring in our political panel to talk about it. Democratic strategist Mustafa Tamiz and GOPAC chair David Avella joins me now. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Before I get to our picks, and David, I want to pose this question to you. We fast forward to January 2020. Donald Trump would be 70 years old, the oldest president on Inauguration Day. Hillary Clinton would be 69 years old, making her the second oldest president on Inauguration Day, aside from Ronald Reagan. How important is it that we pick or that the president makes a very important VP choice this year?
It's always an important choice because ultimately we're finding out how a presidential candidate views governing. And it's the first major decision both of these nominees are going to make and give insights to voters into their thinking about governing. Secondly, we need to make sure it is a pick that is qualified and ready to take over, to the extent you can, be ready to take over the highest office in the land, somebody who can actually step in and fill the role should something tragic happen to our next president.
All right, Mustafa, I want you to respond to that, and also in a year where we have two candidates with very high unfavorability ratings.
Well, just look at that, 55% unfavorable for Hillary Clinton and 75 unfavorable for Donald Trump. So this election cycle is a little different. These guys are very well defined. The public understands them. They've known them for a long time. I'm not sure how important the VP slot becomes, but it will define how the election. If Donald Trump takes Newt Gingrich, he's got an attack dog, and that might encourage Hillary Clinton to get somebody like Elizabeth Warren.
All right, so let's start with your picks. David, I want to start with you. With your expertise, who do you predict would be the best vice presidential pick for Donald Trump?
Well, let's keep in mind that I'll give you three names.
Okay.
Dick Cheney, Sarah Palin, Paul Ryan. All our last three.
Totally opposite of what we have on our screen.
Well, no. let me just say this. There are our last three Republican VP picks, and none of them were talked about the days, let alone the hours before they were actually picked. So this is really a selection by one person. The short list is really only Donald Trump's. That said,
right.
There's one that makes sense, and you put them all up. There's one that makes sense and two that I'm hearing a lot about. One is Senator Jeff Sessions. He makes sense in that he was the first person to endorse Donald Trump. It's his immigration plan that Donald Trump has endorsed. He must get immigration passed. He is a serious conservative in Jeff Sessions. He could help Donald Trump in the Senate. The other two I'm hearing a lot about, Mike Pence's team, the governor of Indiana, feels very good about the meetings that Donald Trump and Governor Pence has had. This week is the deadline where Pence has to decide whether he's going to be governor or if he's going to pass on governor because he's been selected VP. And then the third one, and I actually hear this from insiders in the Trump campaign, don't discount Ben Carson. Trump and Carson have a very close relationship. He counts on Ben Carson. He listens to Ben Carson. So if you're looking for a surprise pick, keep an eye on Ben Carson.
All right, Mustafa, do you agree with any of those picks, or do you have a different list?
Well, I think Donald Trump thinks with his protruding gut more than he does with his head. And Newt Gingrich and him have a lot in common. They're ideologically very close, and they've known each other for a long time. And if it's not him, then I think that the other person he's very close with is Michael Flynn. And Michael Flynn's been talking to him for a long time. He's strongly, aggressively against Obama and what he's doing in international foreign policy. He's got the credentials for it. And those two, I think, are where Trump is leaning. All
right. Well, I want to stick with you, Mustafa. In the effort of time, we don't have much left, but I want to get your Hillary Clinton picks, and then we'll end with David.
I think Tom Vilsack is probably her best pick, but I'm not sure if she's going to go there. Her pick will determine on whether she goes with Elizabeth Warren because of Donald Trump's pick, or she stays someplace safe at Tom Vilsack, or I think he's likely to be the one.
All right, David. What about your insiders?
Well, you got to think about the senator from Ohio, Sherrod Brown. He makes the most sense. Middle-class background, has really pushed the liberal agenda in the Senate. But let me give you one pick that maybe isn't being talked about. If Hillary Clinton thinks she needs to go outside the box and electrify the Democratic Party, she may look at a young, up-and-coming, rising person, the mayor of Atlanta, Kasim Reed, could make her short list as somebody to excite the Democratic Party.
Yep, as a former resident of Atlanta, we will see if that is the case. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate it.
Thanks.